Madam Chief Justice has reconstituted the three judge bench. That is the exact bench that the Deputy Chief Justice had constituted, and the Court of Appeal said that the decision to assemble a bench is given to the Chief Justice by the Constitution, and it is given to the Chief Justice by the Constitution, and the Chief Justice cannot delegate that. Even when we have an acting Chief Justice, the acting Chief Justice, it has to be the substantive Chief Justice. They even said that in her absence, they were introducing something very new. But in law and in constitution, just like any other life, there is the day an idea is born. So the Court of Appeal was trying to tell everybody, including the Chief Justice, that in future she could even use her powers from wherever she is in the world. But debate being a debate, we may have in future case where the Chief Justice makes a decision while out of the country, and somebody may go to court and say, even if she was in another country and used the internet to make her decision, somebody in the future may come up and say that it is bad, because how do we know that whichever country she was in, she had not been kidnapped? So that is a problem with law and religion. The law, the book is clear. The religion, the holy book is clear. But you'll find two different people reading the same section and interpreting opposite. So just as the Court of Appeal has said that if the Chief Justice is out of the country, the Chief Justice is near a machine where she can communicate her decision. But then again, in the future, someone may want to say that the only way we can be sure that the Chief Justice is safe and doing it out of his or her free will is to be in Kenya, because, as I've said, someone may say that the Chief Justice may have been kidnapped. That is law. That is why lawyers are very rich. They reason. Let me give you an example. There is something on the ground. I am standing on this side and you are standing on the other side. I look at that figure, I say that is 6. And you look at that figure, you say that is 9. Both of us are right. Because that figure, if you look it from one side, is 6. If you look it from another side, it is 9. But if you give lawyers time, they'll argue for a whole month whether that figure is 6 or 9. That is how they are made. But concerning this case, we have to ask ourselves, what does the Chief Justice reconstitution of the bench mean? What does it mean? What does the reconstitution of the bench pass as the message? You can do something, but then there is reading between the line. I think that is where we in the intelligence are very different from DCI. First of all, my father was a DCI and I was in the intelligence, but I think we in the intelligence are entitled to look down upon the DCI, because in any case, this is how a DCI handles a case. A DCI comes and looks at a case, and he or she asks himself or herself, Is there a crime committed? Is there a crime committed? Two, if a crime has been committed and the complainant doesn't make a complaint, according to the DCI, no crime has been committed. But according to the NIS, we look at everything every time. The fact that a crime has been committed and the complainant didn't complain, or the complainant want to withdraw the case, doesn't mean that the crime didn't happen. That is one. So intelligence, we are interested on things that happened. Whether people let it go or whatever, that is interesting to us. The other thing is with the intelligence, we look especially on issues which are non-verbal communications. Non-verbal communication. Look at the DCI. You go and complain. You have an OB? Yes. Look at the DCI. You go and complain. You have written a statement? Yes or no? That is how DCI. The DCI, according to the DCI, no offense has been occurred if the complainant did not have an OB number. According to DCI, no offense was committed if no statement has been written. But look at the what do we call? Look at the NIS. They just record everything. But we concentrate on non-verbal messages, and we also communicate on what effect would it have in future and whatever. I look at things today. I look at things happening today. Those are the things we used to write in 80s. I said, if this happen and whatever. So NIS, you are supposed to think before time, but the DCI, you are supposed to think after time. So this one is relevant because if you look at this case and you are talking to a DCI person, the DCI person will tell you that see, Chief Justice may reconstitute another bench. Yes, yeah, that's the end of the story. So let us listen to the other bench. By the way, the NIS will as you'll see my reasoning here, we try to make the ripple effect. Yeah, it's the word I was looking for, the ripple effect. So what does the reconstitution pass the message? That is why I had to talk a lot because of that. In both cases, the case where the CJ reconstituted the bench, what does it mean and what message does it pass? CJ clearly states that she saw nothing wrong with the DCJ. She saw nothing wrong in 2 points. She saw nothing wrong in DCJ taking her powers. You see, that is a plus to the DCJ. Her boss has confidence in her. Since they started working together, I've never seen. I think they think alike. If you ask me, I think that is the best team that we have ever had. If you can remember Baraza, Nancy Baraza and CJ Mutunga. So I can say that, and then you can see Maraga with this Kaplan. Was it? No, there is a lady, Asian lady, Indian lady. She was the deputy CJ. I think this team, they are in harmony. So I say that the CJ is sending two messages. One is that she clearly appreciated. She clearly appreciated what can I say? I can say that in some instances where someone can tell you that something like, I think my deputy read my mind. She could as well talk like something like that. That if I were the one to choose the the bench, I would still have chosen the same bench. So she clearly states that she saw nothing wrong with the DCJ's decision, and also she has full confidence in that bench. She had full confidence in that bench because she had an option. She had an option you know, by reconstituting all the three judges, she was sending a double message that she has confidence, full confidence in her deputy, and she had full confidence in the three bench the three bench, what do you call, judges, three judge bench. Yeah, she's sending a message that she has confidence in both, because if she had issues with the bench, and at the same time she wanted to show, because if she would have reconstituted the whole bench, she would have also maybe, I'm using the word maybe, she would have maybe sent a word that she, she she has no confidence in the in her deputy. So if she had confidence in her deputy but lacked confidence in the judges, she would have maybe replaced one and two came back, or replaced two and one came back. So having the very, very same, it shows the message that she had full confidence in both the Deputy Chief Justice and the three bench judges. Uh, it also means that the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal are not reading from the same page. They are not reading from the same page, because look at it this way. In today's technology, in today's environment, if you complete the inspector's course in Kiganjo, I think you are supposed even to be given a diploma in law or even a certificate in law. I don't know, maybe a certificate in law, so that when you attend a superintendent's course, maybe you get a diploma and then you can go for a law school. I think there should be something like that. But during our time, well, but let me say, since I attended inspector's course, let's say I have a certificate in law, not even a diploma, isn't it? But that small knowledge I have, that is what I'm saying. With that small knowledge I have in law, certificate in legal studies, you cannot compare that one with the judges. Under the 2010 Constitution, for you to be a judge of the High Court of Kenya, or even Court of Appeal, or even Supreme Court, you have to have a degree in law. So the Court of Appeal, while making a decision, which essentially means that they are overturning a decision made by a Deputy Chief Justice. With those so many words I'm trying to say, the way they were reasoning, it was like the Deputy Chief Justice has never been to a law school. Recently, she got a master's degree in law, so she only doesn't have a PhD in law. Now you're telling me that the Deputy Chief Justice, with her portfolio, education, experience, and so on, she's not capable of knowing that the Constitution, the framers of Constitution, meant that the duties of a Chief Justice, as far as assembling a bench, cannot be transferred. No, I'm trying to say here in so many words, but I hope you are getting me why I'm using so many words, is that there is a silent war. There is a silent war between the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court of Kenya. But I don't know. I don't know how. Uh, I don't know how an OCS can fight an OCPD, because the case will eventually end up with the OCPD, isn't it? But the Court of Appeal, when it had a time, it had to hit at the Supreme Court of Kenya by saying that you are using excessive authority, and the excessive authority in law is called ultra vires. Ultra vires. And you remember the Judicial Service Commission and the whole of Supreme Court of Kenya have a case before Court of Appeal. They have a case before the Court of Appeal. This is a case where some people had taken cases. I had already uploaded that. I won't repeat it. Some people had taken a case to the Judicial Service Commission to remove the whole bench of the Supreme Court of Kenya. So what I'm trying to repeat here is that the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court are reading from two sides of the coin. She could have had a new bench. That is what I said. She could have a new bench where one judge of the three bench would have been given two new judges, or she would have had two judges and replaced one judge, or even have the whole bench uh, done away with. But she chose the same bench, showing that she has a lot of confidence in that. Now, what will happen next is that the very same evidence and witnesses will have to appear in the very same court. And can anyone expect any different judgment? Of course, this bench made a decision which was overruled by the Supreme Court, isn't it? Now, the Supreme Court said that it is the Chief Justice who did what? Who needs that? What technically will happen is that a new file will be opened and people will be called to give evidence. Now, if you come up with new evidence, you'll be told no. It is the bench that was in question, but not the evidence and the witnesses. So the same evidence will be given to the very same court, High Court. The same witnesses will appear before the same High Court. And I'm asking you, do you expect the same judges with the same evidence, with the same court, to make a different decision from that? Of course, if they make okay, on paper they can, and suppose they make, you see, it is they who will be now on the deck. They will be asked, how comes that the same judgment, you have made two different judgments? It chances of coming up with a different judgment, I don't, on my part, I don't see it. I expect somebody to ask the three judge bench to recuse themselves. As the proceedings will start, somebody, especially somebody who is pro Rigathi, I expect such a person to appear before the court and ask the three judges to recuse themselves. And I expect the three judge bench not to recuse itself. I'm expecting those things. Can I say I'm predicting? One, somebody will come and say, honorable judges, because you handle the same case, whatever, find it in your soul to decide that the judgment would not be fair. So find it in your soul that you are not fit to do that. And I expect all the three judges to refuse. With that in mind, then and with the receipt, will be done under very heavy clouds. Supposing somebody comes up and says they recuse themselves, or suppose nobody does that and they start doing the same, already we know that they have made a decision in one way, isn't it? Now, let us say that we are facing the same judges, me and you, and the judge or the magistrate gave evidence in your honor. Do you think I'll have that confidence at ever? Because the first time I was giving evidence without knowing what the outcome will be. But I know that the same judicial officer, magistrate or judge, using the very, very same evidence that we used before, decided that you won the case and I lost the case. Do you think that I will even give evidence with confidence? And let me tell you, confidence in any debate, it is very important. Actually, confidence is the heart and soul of everything. Take an example of someone walking through a national park, and you know that there are lions there waiting to bounce on you. How would you move around? You'd move. You'd even anything shaking, you run away and whatever. But assuming that somebody has convinced you that there are no lions there and whatever, and you move, and the lions are there seeing you, and they see you moving with confidence, they let you go thinking that this is a very dangerous and brave animal. So what I'm trying to give in so many words is that confidence wins a case. and lack on confidence, even if you are to win the case, but you lack confidence, chances of you winning the case are very minimal. Anyone expecting a final judge that would lead Kindiki to vacate the Hasler mansion and on one hand, and expect Rigathi to reoccupy the Hasler mansion is very, very optimistic. Things have changed. Things have changed. In future, 1, 2, or even 3 of the judges may apply to join the Court of Appeal or even on the Supreme Court, and the question of this case must appear. When they are before the, what do we call, when they are before the Judicial Service Commission, wanting to be Court of Appeal judges or even Supreme Court judges, they will be asked, do you remember that case? And a lot of attention will be on that case. So they have to be very careful with the way they handle this particular case. They may even be nicknamed as the gatekeepers. This case may also make the 3 judges be called gatekeepers. Now, gatekeepers, si watu tulienda kiganjo, means a watchman, isn't it? But in legal terms, a gatekeeper are those judicial officers who are always picked to make a who are picked with when the what do you call, when the appointing authority expects a certain judgment. When the appointing authority expects, if like Moi's time, there was Justice Tuyot, of Nakuru. So if you are taken to Nakuru and you are suspected to be a Mwakenya, and Justice Tuyot was the judge, he was always being placed there with a decision already made before. So those are what we call judicial officers who are so-called gatekeepers. As I said before, it's hard to come up with a different judgment from the same judges, the 3 judges. It is also hard to instill Rigathi back to the Maslas mansion, because Rigathi, who was a running mate in 2022, was a UDA Kenya Kwanza candidate. But the Rigathi of today is the party leader of DCP. You see, as of now, there is no question about the question of Ruto becoming the president and whatever was decided by the Supreme Court. But this thing, someone may say that this case is concerning Rigathi Gachagua being the deputy president. And I've just said that by him associating himself with the DCP, he has already removed that. So even if the judgment is passed that Rigathi is made the DCP, which is 1 in a million chances, he cannot replace Kindiki, because it will now come to be that he no longer ascribes to the UDA Kenya Kwanza alliance. There is a separation of power in the 3 arms of the government, and so it would also be very hard for one arm of the government to overturn the decision of another arm of the government. The 3 arms are independent and interdependent. One should not be seen to overrule the other unless it is in the extreme cases. You see, according to Deputy President being impeached, you are supposed to reach the level of the Senate impeachment. So what you should have done is that you were to use a system to stop the Senate from making a decision. Of course, you can't go to the Senate and stop them. So what they do is that there are so many checks and balances, because you cannot go and tell the Senate, don't sit and discuss this. They can ignore you and continue and pass what they can overrule you and impeach somebody, even a governor. But what happens is that if you are impeached, and the legislative arm just goes ahead irrespective of your feelings and whatever. Well, you make a judgment and then rush to the government printer and give them the judgment. So the government printer is stopped from printing that Kenya Gazette. And when he stopped from printing that Kenya Gazette, you come up and you want to, they stopped you from printing the Kenya Gazette, isn't it? So you cannot print the thing. So that is how it is, checks and balance. You do this, but then once the once the Senate has made a decision and it has been gazetted, it is a bit hard. Uh, it is a lesson we have to learn forever, uh, because our leaders are very good in amending laws and situations where they are victims. But in cases where you and me are affected, it will never be changed. So I hope and we hope that this will lead a good lesson in future for us not to be having cases which last forever. We should not have cases in the future which take forever, because if this case was taken a bit earlier, as I said, uh, Kindiki would not have been would not have been made the deputy president, and Rigathi would have been imposed on Ruto, and you'd have seen life being the way it is. We would want such a thing to be a lesson to our political leaders, so that in future it be a lesson to our political future, that's in future that we don't have cases that take forever. But then, what is the end of product of this, one may ask, when even Rigathi himself knows that he will not go back to, unless he'll be the running mate of whoever will win the election in 2027. Or Rigathi would be the candidate and win and go to State House, not even the Hustler Master. So what we want to know, what is the end product? One may ask. There are two. One is that Rigathi is still impeached. He's still impeached. And this case has got to come out and remove the impeachment. To remove impeachment. Because if the judiciary says that Rigathi was wrongly impeached and is not supposed to be impeached or anything, he will now go meet his one-term group. When he meets the one-term group, he may end up as the presidential candidate, or he may end up as a running mate, or whatever. But if they don't do that, then if he doesn't go through this case, it means that in future he should forget about elective seats. Maybe he'll go back to being a kingmaker. And the history of kingmakers in Kenya, which was shown very well with the MOU of 2002, I would rather not be a kingmaker. The second reason is that in law schools in future, the Rigathi case would make a good study. It would make a good study, because today, as we are today, uh, all law schools in Kenya and even out of Kenya, they still study a case of Murwatetu. They talk about Murwatetu. I have already uploaded a video on Murwatetu, and I don't want to eat into your bundles talking about it. But Murwatetu was just a small person, an AP chief inspector. But then he has under standard 7. Okay, during our time, we didn't go to standard 8. So a primary school leaver who went to AP, now his case has been a case study in all schools. That one is also what will happen to Rigathi. Irrespective of the outcome, whether Rigathi will win in this case or lose or whatever, but once the case is decided and determined, don't even expect, be sure that in future they'll be talking of Rigathi Gachagua case. They'll be studying it as case studies. What a better way to ending up in history. Those are the few remarks I saw that I should share with you concerning the resemblance of the the three-judge bench and its implications. Thank you.